Welcome to Liesl's Artistic Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to paint some fun St. Patrick's Day shamrocks using watercolors. Also, because all of you subscribers and viewers have been so super supportive, I've decided I wanted to do something to give back. So I'm excited to announce my first ever free giveaway. So make sure you stick around so you can find out how easy it will be for you to win. Now, really quick, before we get into painting, some of you may or may not know that I have illustrated several children's books, one of which is a fun St. Patrick's Day book that I really want to show you since St. Patrick's Day is on its way. But this first one is called Bedtime Fairy Magic. It's the cutest little rhyming story, perfect for bedtime, that features a pretty little fairy. I painted this using mostly watercolor brush pens. This next one is a fun little ABC book called My Easy ABCs. The illustrations were super fun to create with this one because I made them completely from paper cutouts that I drew, cut out, and pasted by hand. My younger kids love reading this book with me because they can shout out what the pictures are of. And if you don't have young kids at home, it also makes a great gift for grandkids or neighbors. And this last one, which is perfect for St. Patrick's Day coming up, called Finnegan's Leprechaun Luck, is the most cleverly written St. Patrick's Day story about Finnegan's search for a tricky and clever leprechaun. The story also explains why pots of gold can be found at the rainbow's end. Seriously, this is one of my top St. Patrick's Day stories ever. I've done the illustrations for this book using watercolors right from the palette that I often show in my tutorials. You can find all of these books for sale on Amazon by searching my name, Liesl Frankum. I will also put the links for these books in the description of this video. Okay, enough talk. Let's get to painting. I'm super excited to show you how to paint these shamrocks today because they look really awesome, but they are pretty easy to paint. So let's get started, and don't forget to like and subscribe. For supplies today, we need watercolor paper. Mine is cut to the size of 8 by 10. I have a few different brushes today. This is a small number 2 round brush. Then I have a number 7 and number 11 angle brush. And later I actually do throw in a number 4 angle brush as well. I also have a pencil, a black watercolor brush pen, which you can substitute with just some black watercolor paint if you don't have one of these, and a black pen or marker to write some lettering with. Then I have some artist tape, water, a paper towel, and of course, watercolor paints. You can really use any kind of green you like. I'm choosing to use mainly sap green and some Payne's gray. For more information about any of these products, you can find it by clicking on the description of this video. Okay, let's start off by dividing our watercolor paper into 3 sections using a pencil. Each of my sections are approximately 3 inches deep. Now, if you'd like to write the words Happy St. Patrick's Day on your page, write that in the middle section of the paper using a pen or marker. I am using this calligraphy or lettering pen that has a flexible tip. If you feel nervous about doing lettering like I do sometimes, write your words using a pencil first so you can erase and rewrite it if you need to, then just trace it over with your pen. All right, let's get some paint ready to go. So take your number 11 brush and wet it down and dip it into the sap green or whatever green you're wanting to use and apply it to your palette tray. Get a good bit of color there. Then we're gonna make another spot of color, but this time we want it to be a darker green. So I'm gonna use the same sap green again, and then I'll add a touch of Payne's gray to darken it slightly. When I'm mixing colors, I like to test them out on some scrap paper to make sure it looks how I want. In this case, I actually added too much black, so I'm going to add some more green to it. That looks a little better to me, so now I'm just going to check it with my pure sap green to make sure it is dark enough. Now that the paint is ready, load your angle brush with the lighter green, then just swipe the tip or the point of the brush through the dark green. This will give a nice two-tone effect to the leaves on the clovers. Now, to paint these clovers or shamrocks, we will paint one leaf at a time using basically one stroke. So hold the brush so that the point is facing downward and pull the brush up, around, and slightly down, and then do that movement again to create a heart-shaped leaf. Then do the same thing 3 or 4 times to complete the clover. I like to turn my paper as I go so that my arm and hand can stay approximately in the same position as I paint. These leaves can take a little bit of practice, so feel free to use an extra sheet of watercolor paper to just simply practice these strokes on until you feel comfortable enough to do it on this final painting. For me, I think the hardest part of this stroke was at the very end when I was trying to finish off the heart. So if you're having trouble at this point, slow down at the end and pay attention to where the bristles are. I also found that at the end of the stroke, it can also help to lift the back end of the brush up a little bit and finish off the heart by pushing down with the tip or front half of the brush. That way, it's just not as bulky. Then if you still have some edges that need cleaned up a little bit, just use the tip of your brush to finish it off. Now just paint several of these clovers using the number 11 brush, both above and beneath your lettering. And if you can, have a few of the clovers overlap the pencil lines a little bit. This will help create a cool 3D effect later. Also, keep in mind that you want the clovers to be very close together, touching or even overlapping. When you have 8 or 9 shamrocks painted on both the top and the bottom, then switch brushes to the size 7 angle brush, refresh your paints if you need to, and then paint in some more smaller size clovers on some of the edges or to fill in the gaps. After I got all those clovers painted in, I felt like I needed a few clovers that were smaller than what the number 7 brush could do, so I did use a number 4 angle brush to paint in just a few of those. Also, I thought it would be fun to paint a tiny 3-leaf clover at the end of the letter P using the small round brush, but of course that's up to you. Before I paint in the next step, which in my opinion is what really makes these clovers pop off the page, I'm going to take some artist tape and tape along the inside of my pencil lines towards the lettering. Next, I'll take my black watercolor brush pen and start filling in the little empty spaces in between the clovers. Start by filling in the areas near the tape first, then move out and up. This can be done using black watercolor paint as well and a small thin brush. I just chose to use this brush pen this time because the tip is very fine and makes it really easy to get into some of these small cracks. This particular brush pen also tends to blend really well with water. You'll notice I'm mostly painting on the color in the corner areas and the edges right next to the clover. Then I use the small brush to activate the paint and spread it into the center, making it slightly lighter in value in the center space. When you start painting the empty spaces near the edge of the paper, you really want to lighten up that black to a very light gray. Use more water and fade the color out to almost nothing. Now that this top half is done, let me peel off the tape so you can compare the top half to the bottom half and see what a difference it makes to fill in those empty spaces. To me, it makes the clovers seem to really pop off the page and look more 3D. So now, just paint in those spaces in the bottom half just like you did the top. And as a side note, try to be really careful when peeling off the tape so you don't rip or peel your paper. When your painting is finished, take a good eraser and erase any leftover pencil lines. Congratulations to all of you who've made it this far in the video, because it is now time for the giveaway announcement. Okay, now for the moment you've all been waiting for, how to win my free giveaway. There's only 2 requirements to have the chance to win. First, because of shipping reasons, you must live in the United States of America. And for the second requirement, all you have to do is leave a comment on this video. And that's it. That's all you have to do, and you will automatically be entered into the drawing to win a free copy of my illustrated St. Patrick's Day book, Finnegan's Leprechaun Luck, which I will personally sign and inscribe. So make sure you leave a comment, and next week, Thursday, February 23rd, 2023, the contest will end and I will announce the winner. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.